And welcome back to the second half of our political episode. We don't have a name for it yet, but
So far, it's been a debate.
so far it's been a debate, and we've been ranting on pretty well. But we were just talking about what were we talking about?
No, I have no idea.
I forgot.
We were talking about
We had
encyclopedias.
we had a heated debate on why children shouldn't have things, and that was all stemmed.
Well, you have to clarify that. Children should have things, but shouldn't have certain things.
At a certain age. You shouldn't, you should teach them more stuff. And that was all because of the way that our social welfare system is, the Social Security policies, the way the budget's planned out. We have the Social Security, and it's like a whopping 33% of our budget or something like that, and it's been misused. And then you have all the tactical things, 18% of the budget's like for military things. It's been misused. All the things in our budget for health, you got like a 30 or 25% thing like that for health. It's been misused. A lot of our budget's been misused.
In fact, going back to high school, when I was taking U.S. history,
30 minutes.
my U.S. history teacher said that the welfare system in the future may go down. They may stop that.
I really do think that there's not going to be enough money for I don't think there's going to be enough money for my grandmother to retire, and she's almost, she's like 56, something like that. So and the national retirement age is somewhere around 65, where they actually force you. A lot of companies actually force you to start working once you reach a certain age. And then that hinders them because there's no money in the Social Security or retirement funds for them to get the money that they need. And it's because it's been misused and misappropriated because of lazy-ass children.
You used profanity.
I can't help it. No, or Donald Trump this. Donald Trump's foreign affairs. We all know about Donald Trump's foreign affairs. The Iran nuclear deal. I think that was a pretty risky move, but it may have worked for the better.
The Iran nuclear deal.
That was Barack Obama was going to give Iran the ability to create nuclear power plants, but they couldn't do make any type of weapons or any type of thing like that. They had to give up all their arms, and they couldn't get them back for like 3 years or something like that. So I think that was a risky deal, but it may work in the benefit. It may build a bridge between the two worlds, America and Iran, and finally make some peace over there. I think it was a risky deal, but it might work for the better depending on how it goes. Everyone's against it because they don't want to give Iran nuclear weapons, but it's not. We're not the be all end all. What if they decided they wanted to create nuclear weapons on their own power? They have every right to do that. We can't stop them from doing what they want to do.
Yeah, but does Iran have the capability of creating nuclear weapons on their own power?
They had it before, but we stopped them. They didn't even create nuclear weapons. They were creating a nuclear power plant, which is different from nuclear weapons. Now, if there was any reason as to why they should have stopped them from creating a nuclear power plant, it should have been because of what happened to the Ukraine. Ukraine had one of the largest nuclear power plants, and it detonated. And it destroyed the Ukraine, made it entirely inhabitable for a long time.
I was about to say Japan, but it didn't really detonate. They shut it down.
Yeah, so that should have been the only concern as far as the nuclear power plant went with them. But no, their problem was, oh my gosh, they're going to attack us. But so we talk about national security.
You also got to see America's point of view. Iran and America is not really at a great situation.
But that was because of what America did. Bush Sr. That was how this all started. He said, when they found out that Saddam Hussein had his people building nuclear power plants, he said they have weapons of mass destruction, and that was their main. That was what really got them into Iran. It wasn't them asking for help so much, but it was when they found out about the nuclear power plants that they really decided to take it over there.
Yeah.
And then, so it was just a nuclear power plant. They said weapons of mass destruction. Oh God, let's kill them.
Well, nuclear power plant. You do create weapon. A nuclear power plant itself, as a whole, is in fact a weapon of mass destruction.
It's not dangerous to us.
But it can cause a a ripple effect and it caused a shock wave.
And not across the ocean. When the Ukraine's three massive power plants blew up, it just destroyed the Ukraine. Most of the countries around it were unaffected.
Mm.
So, it could be very beneficial to Americans and Iranians if this deal goes through right away. Everyone else has the right to build a nuclear power plant. We have tons of them.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't this country that's trying to get on its feet and become one of the first world countries with a good development be allowed?
If you were a country that didn't have a great relationship with another country and you made
Who calls that relationship dissent?
The other country.
We caused it.
But if you're the country that doesn't have if two countries, you and me, let's say we're both countries, if you don't have a great relationship with me, and you build weapons of mass destruction,
a nuclear power plant
the first thing,
a weapon of mass destruction. Now, if they were building nuclear missiles, that would be a whole different thing. But a nuclear power plant, the schematics for a nuclear power plant and the schematics for missiles are two different things, and it's also an effort where America watches over what they're doing.
But when you have a nuclear power plant, that gives you the capability to make weapons of mass destruction.
Not necessarily, because you have to know the formulas to create those
that too.
And plus, to making a nuclear power plant in itself is dangerous to them, not to us, because if it's unstable, it could explode. And that would be dangerous to them. But Iran is not the enemy. Iraq is not the enemy.
Oh.
Neither one of them are the enemy. The countries are not the enemy. It's the radical groups within the countries. If them making a power plant is good for them. But no one's going to give them the blueprints to create nuclear missiles.
Think of this. The Iran or Iraq builds a nuclear power plant. The radical group within the country takes control of the nuclear power plant, and then for some reason knows the schematics and the formulas to make weapons of mass destruction.
A weapon of mass destruction. By the time that they were able to take over the power plant and get the schematics to create a nuclear missile, it would take them many years to create one and test it to make sure that it works properly and can get the distance. America is going to be overseeing this entire operation. The moment something like that happens, America's already on it.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. The moment something like that happens, America's already there to see what's going on, because this entire thing is watched.
Well,
it's not like they went to the deal and said, "Hey, you get to do this, but we're not going to bother you. We're going to do this, but we're going to watch you do it for 3 years. We're going to watch you."
You also got to look at it like this: America's the superpower. I mean, America may be the superpower. Everyone relies on America.
Not everyone, but most countries. But most people just want America to leave them alone. But the thing is, America may be the superpower, but what gives America the right to tell other countries they don't have the right to do things that we've done?
Well, yeah, that kind of is
so that's what you have to think about like that. It may be because of terrorist strikes and things like that, but that's what we have the United Nations for, to deal with threats like that. When we come to a general consensus on what to do with things. America is not the be-all end-all of the planet Earth. Everyone has the right to live here, and everyone has the right to live here comfortably. And America should not be dictating what other people get to do on their own land. They do enough of it here. All right.
So you're basically saying America's a dictator?
Well, they're trying to stop everyone doing things that they want to do.
We can do whatever we want to do here.
Not necessarily.
We'll name one thing.
You can't go out in the streets naked.
You can, but I mean, you're going to get...
A lot of times you can't really voice your opinion the wrong way.
Where? I've always been able to voice my opinion.
If you broke it on the wrong person in the wrong type of environment.
Well, I mean, you were talking about the president, if you were talking about the president to the president in a negative way.
Hey, if the president comes to me and has the gall and the audacity to insult me, and I insult him back, if he doesn't have the balls to take an insult like he gave me one, he doesn't need to be the president.
He'll probably nuke you.
And I'll push the button, president.
I dare you.
Now here we have Chris Christie. It's an awkward last name to have. Chris Christie.
I almost thought it was Chris Chrisley, though. He does a reality show.
He doesn't. He was the governor of New Jersey and the U.S. attorney for New Jersey. Chris Christie is a Republican candidate with a political office of the President of the United States of America. What are you doing? What's that?
My task manager. Just keep going.
Do you think that's really important to do during the middle of this?
It's still filming.
I know people are looking at you, staring at them weird.
Just keep going. I'm sure they won't mind.
And so Chris Christie, he's the current governor of New Jersey. He was elected in 2009 prior to the government national bill, blah, blah, blah. I don't really know how they run things up in New Jersey, but if he's the governor of New Jersey, I think
you got to say New Jersey. New Jersey. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Johnny. Yeah, but considering the fact that he is the governor, he has a better opportunity of being a good political candidate than Trump, Hillary, or Carson, especially Carson.
Probably has better ideas. I haven't heard of any of Carson's plans.
Well, Carson's, talk about just from his professions, he has a better chance than Trump, Hillary, and Carson because he's the governor.
Or him, because he knows everything that goes on in it.
Yeah, but he knows the politics. Now, Hillary might know something because of Bill, but Hillary is a horrible option.
My dad said that nobody likes Hillary because of stuff that she's done.
No one likes her because she's a dog. But
she's a dog? She goes woof woof?
Well, female dog when eat.
Oh.
It'll come to you.
I know what you're talking about.
So let's take a look at what his things are. His issue on taxes. He unveiled a tax plan that he wants to cut the number of tax brackets to 3 and lowering the top rate to 28% from the current 39% top rate. The plan will also lower the corporate rate tax to 25% from the 35% rate. He plans Christie's plan will be revenue neutral, meaning it will not increase the deficit and will limit some deductions and credits while keeping others, such as deductions for charitable contributions and interest on home mortgages. Kind of a mouthful there, but he's not really doing too much to lower the taxes to me. And a deduction on charitable contributions and interest and home rates. I think home mortgages rates and interest rates should be. I think there shouldn't be an interest rate on home mortgages because I'll tell you why. It's because when you have an interest rate on something like a home, and it's a certain percentage, people that really. I'm going to pull a card here out of what happened back in the days of segregation and things like that, just to make a point. How you would have the master and the slave, and he'd be trying to buy his freedom, and to buy his freedom he had to work, and the slave owner would tell him, you have to pay me $5,000 to buy your freedom, and so he'd work, he'd pay the $5,000. And he keep track of it, but the slave owner would say, no, you have to work a little bit more. And it happened for decades after decades. And the guy still isn't free because of this invisible interest rate. that kept going up because he didn't pay it at a specific amount of time. And that's how the interest rate works on things like home mortgages. I think there shouldn't be a rate of interest on home mortgages, because really, when you pay the interest rate, you're paying more money than what you're paying to live in. And the money that you're paying is going straight to the bank, and they're going to get paid from the money that you use to pay for the house. So why is there a need for an interest rate on the home that you're trying to live in? It's just going to keep making you pay more and more money on a house that you may never get to own because of the interest rate.
Well, you get to own it at some point, but it goes many, many years.
It goes many, many years, but those many, many years, the interest rate builds up every year. It brings back a certain amount of money each year.
Yes.
And it adds to your current bill. And most people never get to pay off that interest rate. And so when they die, either their family has to continue to pay for this house, or they lose the house. It goes back to the bank. And it becomes foreclosed, and then they have to pay the same interest rate over and over again for each family that decides they want to move into the house. So I don't think there should be an interest rate on housing. Now, for things like loans, yes, the interest on loans.
Well,
And I'll tell you why. If I watch a lot of things like Shark Tank and stuff, and there's a reason why they have interest rates on loans. It's because, if you take a loan, someone may never pay it back. And so you can put the interest rate on there so that you're making your money back. And that interest rate is just a thing to tell them, if you don't pay me my money in a certain amount of time, I'm going to add this amount on to that. And if you still don't pay it off, I'm going to add another amount. And most people are going to try to pay that loan off before that amount goes up, because they know once they rack up enough money on your loan, then they'll take you to court and say, I want my money. And you're like, oh my gosh, how did they get that high? It's like, you didn't pay when I told you to. I kept telling you about the interest rate, and you wouldn't pay it. So on loans, the interest rate needs to stay to encourage people to pay it back.
And also, in fact, I think at that point, if you get a loan or something, but if you keep building interest up, I'm not sure that some cases you cannot apply for a credit card because they can see that. And
also, same thing with medical bills. If you don't pay your medical bills, they also pump interest rate on there. And I don't think they should put interest rate on medical bills. Medical bills are already expensive enough, and you send the same bill month after month after month, and every time you send it each month, it goes up. I noticed that I went to Garden Park. The first bill they sent me was for $1,000, or somewhere on that margin. Then the next month they sent me another bill. It was for $1,500. I waited a few months, because I got out of the hospital in October. This time around January, they sent another one. It was up to $2,000, and now I'm pretty sure it's somewhere up to $3,000. They stopped sending me bills because they're bracketing interest rate on there now. They stopped sending me bills, so the next bill they send me is going to be somewhere around $5,000. And all they did to me was poke me.
Poke you?
Yeah, that's all they did.
A needle.
No, they didn't use a needle. I'll show you what they did. Turn to me your body. They looked at me. They asked me what was wrong, and they did this.
And you get charged $3,000 for that?
That's all. That's all they did. Then they said, oh, you got this certain problem. Here's your subscription. You go. We'll send you the bill. And since I didn't have any insurance, I had to pay an extra rate for not having insurance. So that brought my bill up to a baseline of around $1,300. It was $1,000, but without insurance, they brought it up to like $1,300.
I'm pretty sure we'd have problems if all they did was poke me and they made me pay $3,000.
The interest rate bumped it up to those amounts of money, and you pay for the room that they put you in. Yeah, like that's a hotel room. I think you should pay not for the room, but for the service that's given to you. I shouldn't have to pay. I'm not, out here but I shouldn't have to pay for this. I shouldn't have to pay for a poke.
I think that I have, because
scoot into the camera.
And some, well, not now, but still now. and on my own choice now. But before I had to go to get MRIs, and they would have to. I think we'd have to pay like over $2,000 just for me to go into a big machine with a big magnet just to get a scan of my brain and get poked by a needle for 30 minutes.
I can understand paying for the machine, but for the needle, needles don't cost that much. I go to the store and buy a needle for.
No, we didn't buy the machine, so.
I know, but you paid to use the machine. I can understand.
Well, we aren't going to use it. We aren't going to use it by ourselves. We had to have.
You know, I can understand maybe $500 to go through the machine, but an extra $150,000. No, an extra $1,500 for the needle and the medicine in the needle. I don't know. You know, that's ridiculous.
I don't know if it was that much. I do know it was over 2,000. It's probably over 2,000 or over 1,000. Maybe I don't know.
So Chris Christie's government regulations put him at a. He criticized the Obama administration for implementing policies and regulations that impede on the free market. He said, "We don't have an income equality problem. We have an opportunity problem in this country because the government is trying to control the free market." Now, that is a good statement he made there. What he's talking about is how he's trying to, what Obama's trying to force people to pay women the same amount of money as they pay men.
Oh, you said.
And see, that's what he says here. He says, we don't have an income inequality problem because that's the reason why that act was created, to try to make government pay the same amount of money as for men as for women. But when he says opportunity, he should replace that as we have a choices problem in this country, because the reason, as I said before, the reason why women make less money than men is because they choose to. And I'm not saying that they choose to earn less. They choose it because of the work where they work. And women don't make less. Nobody makes anything. Women earn less. You don't make less. You earn it. If you work less hours, you're going to get paid less. You get paid the same amount of money. But this is the statistic that they never really tell anyone. Under 30 in America and most countries in Europe, under 30, women get paid more for the same work as men under 30. Mm-hmm. But yet there is an inequality balance, but the inequality balance isn't towards the women. It's towards the men. Because of all the acts they keep putting towards women, women get paid more for the same work than men do. But yet the average still shows that men make more money than women do, because men go into more higher paying fields, they go into more dangerous fields. Men make up 80% of all work casualties and deaths. It means the men take more risk than women do, and that's the reason why men earn more averagely than women do. If women would, work in more dangerous fields and died more often, they might they might earn more money.
Die a lot.
That really, when feminists talk about that, it really makes me mad, because in every movie you see, save the women and the children, but kill the men. Oh, stay here, darling. Well, the men got to go off to fight the wars. The women get to stay home, but yet they still complain. Oh, we don't get paid to watch the house. Well, we don't get paid to die.
Well, it'd kind of be weird for the man to stay home and the woman, because way back then it was the man's responsibility.
No, I'll tell you why the women have always stayed home, even today. It's because women are valued more than men. Because if a woman dies, we lose the possibility to create babies with the egg. Men produce millions of sperm a day from birth, and women only produce a certain amount of eggs. Now, there's a certain amount of eggs that they do produce, and they only ovulate during a certain specific time. But so they're more valuable to society than men are. But when you take a look at history, how it is, Whenever when society has been built by men, then women migrate to the society. They're not pleased with it. Men build a new society. Women move back into that one. They're not happy. Men build a new society. Women move into that society. They're not happy.
Well, there's no pleasing women.
Well, let's hope that no woman watches this video.
Well, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll be mad.
I'm sure they'll be mad.
I'm sure
But you got to look at the statistics. Like they did a test in somewhere in the Dutch country. I can't remember which one it was. I think it's not the Netherlands. I know that. I think it was Finland. But they did a thing. There was a show. It was in Dutch. I couldn't read what the font was. But they sent a group of men to one island and a group of women to another island. Now they had a certain amount of food, each of them, the same amount. The men, after a week on the island, the women have already gone through all their food. They hadn't built a shelter. They didn't build any fire. They just sat there and bickered and argued with one another. On the men's side of on the other island, the men, on the other hand, they still had food left over. They had shelter. They built fire. Hell, they looked like they had a hotel over there. And so, you know what they did? They decided to take 3 women from the other island and 3 men from the island, and they switched them. Now, when the men got over to the other island, they looked over there and they're like, "Oh, you guys don't have a shelter? What have you guys been doing all this time? Where's your food?" And the women were still just sitting there. So the 3 men built shelters, they built the fire, they caught the food, and then the women just moved in. Now, on the other island, the women that went over there, they still did nothing. To the men's island, they went over there and they still did nothing. The men still did everything.
Yeah, because
and so you talk about how women earn less. It's because women don't want to do anything.
it was way back. Well,
No, this wasn't way back then.
I know
This was
that.
in modern times. They did this just so they could prove a point to
I
the
know,
feminists.
but what I'm saying, I wasn't talking about then now, but way back then, way before, like probably in the caveman days.
Oh no, back then it was more equal. Women actually had to go do work back then.
Oh.
I'll tell you why. If you look at animals nowadays, when you take a look at the lion, he's the alpha male. The women hunt. He sits back. When you take a look at all species of animals, the women are always the one that has to go out there and get the food because they're usually the bigger one.
And the more aggressive one.
And the more aggressive, especially when children are involved. And they go out there and get the food. Spiders, the woman's the bigger one. She hunts most of the food.
She usually eats the man.
And she
though.
kills the man. That's how women do today. They kill us with child support and alimony. But that's how it is. The women in the early human ages, the women they hunted. They did a lot of work just like the men. And then in all animal species except for human beings, in modern ages, the women does equal, if not more, work than their male counterpart. But when you have human society, women are valued more than men are, so they don't have to suffer any consequences for the effects of their actions. And then they have the nerve to say they're not being paid the same amount. They're being paid more than men are under 30 for the same job. Not saying that they're earning more, but they're being paid more, flat out paid more for the same job than their male counterpart works. This is not one woman's working in nursing and the other guy's working at Burger King and she's making more money than he is because he's working at Burger King. They're both working at Burger King. He's making he's making $1 and she's making $3. And he works more hours than she does, but she makes more money than he does.
Or you could say he's making minimum wage is I think $9 an hour versus she's making
$7.25 here.
$7.25.
And she's making
probably $10. Oh.
So, they're being paid more. So I don't understand where they keep getting this inequality bullcrap from. Just because women earn
feminists
less
just want a reason
Let's not talk about them anymore.
to take control.
Okay. So he did have a point right there. But he should say, instead of we have an opportunity problem in this country, because there is nothing wrong with opportunity in America. Every person in America that has a decent education has the opportunity to get a job.
That's what America was built off of.
Everyone has an equal opportunity to get a job.
There's some
that may have been ridiculous to say 40 years ago, but today, every American with an education has the opportunity to get a job.
Well,
now, the choices
nowadays,
the choices that they take when they get their education and the choices that they take as far as a job goes is the reason why there's this so-called inequality, and not just between men and women, but between people, between the youth, the young workers, and the old workers. The old workers make more money than the young people do because the young people just don't want to work in the fields that these old people have worked in and built the industries. I've seen this meme that's going around on Facebook and social media. It said something about we tried Generation X or Generation Y. What generation are we?
Generation Y.
Yeah, this is a Generation Y thing.
They call us the self generation.
Yeah, it's it was a meme. Like they had a picture of the working in the cubicles and box office in the warehouse, and they said we tried. They said you made our families, our grandparents work in box carts in warehouses. You made our parents work in cubicles. We tried it. We don't like it. So now you have to adapt to us. And they wonder why they can't get a job. And they wonder why they have to be, and they wonder why they're not getting paid a lot of money, because they're too stuck up and privileged to go into a line of work simply because they don't like that line of work. And that's the thing that people don't understand. When they get out of college, you cannot assume that just because you got a degree, you got a job waiting on you outside the doorstep. You're going to have to go through jobs that you don't like to get to the job that you do want. And people don't seem to understand that.
Yeah,
it's not opportunity, it's choices.
Certain, like me, I'm wanting to go into the computer field. Well, and as far as I know, because I like computers, what job that deals with computers will I not like?
No, I'm not saying that you don't like. What I'm saying is they're looking at these jobs, and there's jobs that they don't like. Let's say you get out of college and you're looking for a job, but the only job that's going to hire you is a job that forces you to work in a cubicle, and you don't like that job, so you said no.
Well, if it's a cubicle, if they pay a lot, I don't care. I mean,
and you say,
enough. If I have a family,
I'm just making an example here. And you say no to that job because you want to get the job that you want, and so you stay unemployed, living in your parents' basement for free, mind you, for free. They don't pay any rent or any type of thing to their parents. And you're not working, you just sit there playing your World of Warcraft, getting fat on your couch with your pimples and whatnot.
Basically Noah.
Yeah, basically him. And so this cubicle job, you just passed up on it because you didn't like it. You didn't want to work on that job. You didn't even step foot in the office to see if you were going to enjoy it. That's what I'm saying. So he talks about the budget. He doesn't really say much about it. He vetoed a bill that increases taxes to those who make over $1 million. So yeah,
kind of need to go on to the next one.
Yeah, he doesn't really say anything important. Now this is another one here. Bernie Sanders. From the ones that we looked at, he has the best opportunity. He's a U.S. senator, and he's currently a U.S. senator, and he's been a U.S. representative since 1991, since before we were born. And Bernie Sanders, he's a Democratic candidate for office. He's an independent member of the U.S. Senate. Yeah, there's your independent guy.
See that? I think that would make a good better president, because they would really think about things before they do it.
Well, the problem is he might die while he's in office. He's pretty old. Sanders calls himself a socialist. Well, that puts him out of the book. Socialists are horrible.
What do the socialists do?
Well, basically, they're like they're red.
They're like, oh, I thought I was gonna say are they like dictators or
No,
something?
they're not dictators. They're people that have they have good ideas, but the manner in which they want to do them are so right winged that it's just not feasible.
Oh,
And like I think he's like one of those guys that want to legalize all types of drug use, and that's just not a feasible idea. Can you imagine? I mean, just with legalizing marijuana, Conan O'Brien did a joke about it on his show after they did it. They said, "Oh, they legalized marijuana in Colorado." Well, there's been the crash rates have gone up by nearly 3.3%. But there's no problem. Only 3 million people died since it was legalized.
Legalize marijuana. It's no problem. Have more crime.
They legalize it because they want to tax it and make money off of it. But
anything to make money.
You have to think about the repercussions of what's going to happen if you legalize all these drugs and it's more accessible. More and more people are going to be under the influence when they're driving. And it's going to cause more and more death toll. And I think they did it for a reason, because I always tell you, it costs more to die than it does to live.
You got to think about the government, though. They don't really care about
that's what I'm saying. It costs more for you to die than it does for you to live.
The only thing they care about is the money.
Person.
The only thing the government cares about is the money. They may say they care about the citizens, but trust me, they don't.
They just want the money. And so he made his Democrat nomination known on April 30, 2015. His sting in the Periscope social media service, which allows him streaming videos from smartphones. So he's been a U.S. senator. He is the U.S. senator currently. He's been a U.S. House of Representatives. Let's see what his policies are. His own taxes. Oh gosh, I make you feel like you would get like dust on your throat or something like that. It says he would raise taxes.
Every year.
Well, this is what's going to kill him. He said he's going to raise taxes on the wealthiest Americans and corporations if he's elected.
Wealthiest Americans?
Yes, on the wealthiest.
I think that will kind of cripple American economy, because I think
they're not going to pay it.
Well, I think Bill Clinton didn't do that, and the economy.
So he said it was raised at substantially higher than they are today because of the new income that's going on in the top 1%. And yes, those folks in large corporations will pay under the Sanders administration more in taxes so that we can use that revenue to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, to create jobs we need, and make sure every kid who has the ability to get college education in the American system gets college education tuition free. And that part right there is a good thing. Tuition-free college.
Actually, Europe has tuition-free college.
Yes, the United Kingdom has tuition-free college, and it works perfectly.
Although, you got to think about the fact that because if college is free, a lot of kids are going to go to college, and they're going to, not really try in college because they're going to think, well, the government's paying for college.
No, you still have to have GPAs to get there.
Yeah, but...
And you still have to apply. But when you get to college and you don't have a good GPA, they kick you out. So you may get there and not try, but it doesn't matter. They're going to kick you out anyway.
Oh. I think what makes people try in college a lot in America is because they're actually paying because they actually want to go to college.
Yeah, but that does help. To pay for something that you want. But it will be more beneficial because, we talked about affirmative action, helping women get into college. But now we have an overwhelming majority of males dropping out of college because there is no support for them there. And if there's a free tuition system, I believe that more young men and children will be able to get into the schools, specifically pertaining to young boys, because the school system is beating the hell out of our young boys. I heard a case where a kid was running. I seen this video, and a little kid, no more than 3 years old, was at the park. There was no one there. On the police security video, there was no one at the park. at all. And he's just sitting there playing with his Nerf gun. It's colored yellow and orange, all kinds of crazy colors. And there's no one around. There's not even a dart in the gun. He's just sitting there running around doing this, bang 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 to himself. And the cop pulls up right next to him. Someone called the cops on the kid. And the cop pulls up right next to him, almost hit the kid, gets out of the car. In 2 seconds, he shoots and kills the 3-year-old. And that's what's happened to our little boys. They're not allowed to be little boys anymore. They get kicked out of school for drawing pictures of guns. They get kicked out of school for playing cops and robbers. They get kicked out of school for, liking more aggressive things. They get kicked out of school for, for sleeping in class because they're not getting any attention from the teachers. They're not getting the help that they need.
Well, guess what? Society. If boys don't do that, then what are they called? They're called girls.
Yeah, I mean, they get killed and kicked out of school for everything. Boys can't be boys anymore.
Or they're gay.
It's either boys have to be. They either have to be feminine, gay, because they just can't do what little boys are supposed to do. They can't develop properly.
Just because you draw a gun doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go off on a killing spree.
I've drawn guns before, and I don't even have a gun. I don't wield guns. I don't support gun usage.
Yeah,
I believe everyone has the right to use their guns and they have the right to hunt and stuff. But I personally wouldn't buy a gun because I'd be too afraid that if my girlfriend, not saying that she's crazy, in case she watches this video, but if my girlfriend and I ever got into a scuffle and we were living together at this particular time, which we're not, but if we were, and if we ever got to a scuffle and the gun's sitting underneath the bed, she pulls out and kills me in my sleep. Well, this might be something she doesn't want to say, but I told her, I would keep all my sharp objects hidden away too, because if we were ever doing something, and it got a little heated, I wouldn't want, there was nothing, and I was, disabled from being able to stop her. I wouldn't want her to go running around looking for my sharp objects and come stab me to death. I mean, there was a guy who got stabbed to death by a stiletto high heel in a hotel room, and the woman pleaded self-defense and got off with it with just a year of probation, and got off with it because she said self-defense, but yet there was no indication of physical harm or restraint on her body whatsoever. And she just stabbed the guy to death with a stiletto high heel 25 times.
I'm about to die, so.
25 times. So I don't know about you, but how much self-defense do you need to stab a guy 25 times with a stiletto heel? You know how hard you have to be stomping on him?
It's very, well, if you're stomping on him, I think the heel would break. Or what? It depends on how thick it was, I guess.
The point is,
I don't
stabbed him 25 times with a stiletto high heel.
I'm not going to that because I don't wear stilettos, so I wouldn't know. Or do I?
I don't know either. I don't know how strong they are, but 25 times. I mean, for a blunt. I mean, you know what high heels are like. It's not sharp.
Yeah.
For a blunt object to go piercing through someone's skin 25 times, that's pretty hard.
Unless she took it off, she probably wasn't stomping. She probably took it off and was.
So that part of his thing where he says he's going to raise the taxes for large corporations, that's not a good idea because you all know they're not going to pay it. And the part where he talks about school and tuition fee, I think that's where a large portion of our budget should be headed towards is the schools. And I really do think that he should, if anyone's going to run for presidency, they should enforce higher paying rates for our teachers. I was talking with my statistics teacher, who was an excellent teacher,
And which we had for trig.
Yeah, and calculus for me.
Well,
and college algebra. I've had him for every math course I've had him, and he's an awesome teacher. And we were talking about this statistic in trig. You know,
I never
the football coach gets paid more money than the dean at our particular school, and at all schools is the thing. The football teacher gets paid like $3 million. The dean's at like $100,000. The teachers only make $60,000 to $80,000 for teaching a year.
Well,
I think our teachers should make more money than that.
Depends on how many classes they teach, though. In college, elementary.
I know that. In elementary school too, the coaches make more money than the officials of the school.
Yeah,
the coaches don't teach jack.
I asked my dad that once because he's a big Arkansas fan. I didn't say that because I don't really like football.
I couldn't care less.
But I asked him that. I was like, why do coaches get paid because I just thought of it. Why do coaches get paid more when they don't do anything except yell at players?
It doesn't make any sense, any feasible sense to me. Like, the teachers are the ones that are helping make productive people to society. Football is not productive to society.
In fact, they get paid more than people that actually go out in society and work.
Yeah, people who football players, they're not productive to society. The Super Bowl is not productive. You know what's productive to society around the Super Bowl? The ads.
Yeah,
that's what it gets people to go buy stuff.
If anything,
but yet you got the coaches making millions of dollars, and our teachers can barely afford to live in their house.
The NFL they can make money because some people live off of just the NFL. For some people that's their only job.
Yeah,
like coaches make $1 million. I know there's probably some coaches that make $1 million.
At our school, the head football coach makes, according to Mr. Ross, didn't want to say his name, but according to Mr. Ross, according to the statistics teacher.
Well, they know his name already.
Shut up, we'll bleep it. The football coach makes $3 million, and an estimated number, and our dean makes about $120,000, and the teachers make somewhere between $61,000 to $80,000, depending on the amount of classes they have and the amount of hours that they work.
Yeah.
And the tutors get somewhere around $30,000. This is
kind
not
of
making any sense
ridiculous
to me.
I mean, this is how you can apply what I have learned to football, and this is why teachers should get paid a lot more because, okay, taking trig, calculus, and now I'm taking physics-based calculus. Well, from what I have learned in physics, you can actually, depending on the angle and stuff of what you're throwing the football at, you can calculate using trig and calculus. You can calculate
Let's
where.
not talk about all the calculations. We're going to get back to this.
I'm not going to say the calculation.
Let's not talk about all that. We're going to get back to this. You're going to keep us on there for more. You're supposed to be 30 seconds and you're at 48.
Well, you kept talking about Trump or something. I knew it was.
Well, I told you Trump was going to be a big doozy. Okay. Now, so we'll talk about his taxes. Education taxes. I think tuition free or put it down more close to tuition free would be a good idea because it would what's the word I'm looking for? It would I'm trying to think of the word. I can't remember the word.
Satisfy?
Not satisfy. It would
stratify.
I want to say promote, but that's not the right word. I'm just going to say it would push more people, more young people, fresh out of high school, to get into college if it was free or close to free.
Yeah.
It would push them more, which would create more productive people in our society.
Yeah. And a lot of people may say, well, what about universities? Well, if Europe can do it, why can't America?
I'll tell you what, Harvard has a worth that they make every year from their students, somewhere around about $2.45 billion. They have a tuition fee of $61,444 a year. I don't know about you, but those classes can't be any different from the classes I'm taking here. just because it's more of a STEAM college and there's more stuff there doesn't mean, and the teachers get paid the same amount that most teachers around the world get paid, or not around the world, but here in America get paid. So, all their money really goes to making their school look good and giving them more access to better things to enhance the education of their students. But $61,000 a year.
When I went somewhere, when I went to last semester, went to this other school to take programming with C++. Some of my classmates were talking about Harvard, and I simply turned to them and told them the only reason why people go to Harvard is because of the name. I can tell you, I can go there and get the same education there that I can here.
That's another thing. I had some contacts at Harvard. I had, remember our principal, Mr. Dubra?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He gave me some forms and stuff, and it had all the information I needed about getting into Harvard. And I applied, and I got some responses. I even had an opportunity to go to Brown University, very prestigious university. I couldn't afford it, but I had contacts at Brown University. I had an opportunity to go to Stanford University, and that's another very prestigious school, a highly acclaimed law school. And I had the opportunity to go to Stanford.
Is that all they teach is law?
Mostly, but they have a lot more classes. They have more classes. But they invited me to come stay with them for a week for a meeting, and I couldn't afford to go because I had to pay for the ticket to get to California. I would have to pay for a place to stay. But they would provide me with food, which is all I really cared about was food. I didn't care about the food. But, and the main reason I didn't go was because I didn't want to get on an airplane. I couldn't afford it.
Well, how do you get to Texas?
I had to suck it up.
Oh.
Because I was going to go to Stanford before our 12th grade year. They wanted me to go to Stanford during July. And I was going to go, but I couldn't afford it. And I didn't want to get on an airplane. When I went to San Antonio, I had to get on an airplane because I didn't. There were so many options my dad sent me to try to get me there. I was like, well, I don't. He said, you can't drive. It'll take too long. And it's like, okay. And then he's like, well, take the airplane. It's like, no, I can't do that. I'll die. Well, and so then that's all right. You take the train. No, I can't do that either. I would die if the train would crash. And so, well, take the bus. No, I can't. I don't trust those people. And so eventually, I had no choice but to take the airplane. And I get to the airplane, and they my seat was above the wing, right above the engine. And the moment it started, the moment I was walking on the plane to get on the plane, my heart was pounding. And then the moment I sat down in my seat, I looked at the window and seen how high I was over the ground. We haven't even started flying yet. We were still boarding. And I looked down there, and then the engine started up, and my heart just about jumped out my chest. And then we were going up, and I was looking down like this, like, oh my God, if we crash, I'm going to die. And then you know what happened? When I touched down in Dallas, we had a 5-hour layover. My plane flight was supposed to be 4 hours, but we had a 5-hour layover in Dallas because there was a huge thunderstorm. So we couldn't fly, and I had to wind up taking a train anyway because the Dallas airport is so big. They have a 1-minute train to get you to the other side of the station. So I had to take the train, get to the other side of the station to get on my plane, wait 5 hours before we can head off. Then when we flew over to San Antonio, the moment I touched down in San Antonio and got into my dad's house and turned the TV on, a plane crashed in San Diego.
Was it your plane?
It wasn't my plane, but it was an American. It was an American Airlines plane. I got on American Express, I think it was, and the moment they touched down I touched down and turned on the TV. a plane with like 113 passengers from China or someplace over there touchdown, and they crashed in San Diego. And San Diego sounds a lot like San Antonio, if you ask me.
I've never flown on a plane or a train.
So against government regulations.
Did you have someone guiding you?
Oh, good.
Or did you just go? Did you have to know what you're doing?
I didn't know it. God darn thing. My grandma told me. She rode a plane before, and she told me you're supposed to take your bag and take one bag for the hand-on bag, so you won't have to pay an extra fee. I put both my bags up there and told them, I said, I want this to be my hand-on bag. But they took both the bags and charged me $60 and put them inside the thing. But my laptop was in one of the bags, and I was looking at them, because I was looking out the window trying to figure out where my bag was, because they didn't give it to me to go back on the plane. I was confused. And I was looking, and I seen, and they were just tossing the bags back there. I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to break my laptop. They just tossed the bag in there. Like, and you know, my bags weighed about 60 pounds each.
Why do they toss? Like, I haven't flown a plane before, but I do know they toss.
For speed.
I know. Well, what if there's fragile things in there?
They don't care. You shouldn't have it in there. That's what they think. And so I get there, and I'm looking around. I'm so confused. I didn't know what the heck was going on. Apparently, I think they said I had like a first class ticket or something like that, and I didn't know. I was just sitting there during the hour layover Dallas, waiting for them to call my flight, and I didn't know what type of ticket I had. All I knew was a ticket. I went to the lady and asked them the ticket. It's like, you were supposed to already be on the plane. It's like, oh, well, I didn't know that. I was like, you'll have to wait until these people go on then. And so I get on there, and they're like, now they have designated seat for you. It's like, you go to row F, seat 2, close to the window. Like, I don't know how to read this thing. I'm asking the lady on the plane, can you show me where this is? She's like, oh, you just go down there. It's like, I don't know where down there is. And so I'm looking at passengers. I don't know who these people are. I'm like, hey, can you show me where this seat is? And I passed it up. I passed up the seat, and I was like, can you show me where the seat is? It's like, oh, it's just right there. It's like, oh, it's right beside me. It's like, oh my gosh.
You're just shoving it in people's face.
I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know. I get to Dallas. They're like, you have to go to row D, get on train C, go up elevator A.
Sounds like a lot of work just to get on a train.
Where is this stuff? I don't know where I was. I don't know how to. I don't know, Jesus.
If only it was as easy as just getting on a stinking train.
Yeah, you have to go all this, get on the train, and this is inside the airport. The train's inside the airport. And it just goes to the other side of the airport just faster than it would to walk. It wasn't a 5-hour layover anyway. I could have just walked over there instead of had to get on the train. And then get on the train, and there's people in there that are looking at you. I didn't sit down because I didn't want to sit next to anyone, so I stood up, and I didn't want to hold on to the pole because someone else was holding on to it. So I had to sit there and try to hold my foot while the train was going.
I would kind of hate to hold on to the pole because, in a way, I'm kind of a germaphobe. I'm not entirely a germaphobe, but I am I don't want to hold on to the pole because you don't know. Somebody may have.
Someone's in there jacking off in the train.
No, not well, if somebody's doing that, then there's a problem. But what I'm saying is, somebody could have, have a cold, sneeze on their hands, or.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it again because I didn't want to touch anything that other people touch. But I'd have no problem pointing tickets in their face and telling them, hey, you figure out how to get there. I'm a person that I don't like to ask people for help. Asking people for help is very difficult for me. My deacon at my church, he's been trying to wean me off. It's like, you got to learn to ask for help. How are you going to get stuff done if you don't know how to ask people for help?
Well, there's points and times where you can do stuff by yourself, and sometimes where you just
I try to do everything on myself.
You're just gonna have to suck it up and ask for help.
Whenever the teacher will say you got to get in the groups, I sit there and I wait for everyone to get in their group, and then I tell the teacher I don't have a group partner, so I say I do it alone. Just let them know you got to find someone to group with. And
I won't complain about that because I don't like doing group work either.
I can't stand. I don't like doing group work. I can't stand it. I don't like asking people for help. I don't like depending on people. That's whenever I ask you to take me to school and stuff, I really hate to ask you because I don't like depending on other people. And when I do ask you, I won't ask you to do it unless I'm paying you. But you're just too damn nice telling me that I can't pay you $100, so you knock it down to 60, and then you say I can't pay you that, so now you knock it down to
Like,
30. So now it's practically free because I got to pay you only $30 to go up
well,
there because you're too nice.
it's at the same. It's at the same time that my class starts, and so I mean, if it was out of my way, then I would keep it at 60.
We've been talking about an hour. We haven't. This is the last person. Okay, so his budget plan. He said that the deficit is a significant issue, but it is important to know how we get into the deficit and international debt. We very often the budget hearings, you hear me say the major deficit hawk, the committee, blah blah blah. He says he voted to a tax break for millionaires, so he wants to cut the taxes for the millionaires. No, he said he voted against it, so the millionaires have to pay taxes. But I think that they say I'm still on that from Carson, that flat tax rate of 10%. You know, so he just says that he should. He always says is tax the wealthy people. That's all he says. Tax the wealthy people. And I think that 10% flat tax rate would do most of it. He thought the labor and employment is a good thing here. Blah blah blah. He says we should do more food processing. Blah blah blah. We're sick and tired of the war against working families. About that food thing. I think that the government should leave my food alone. If I want to go to McDonald's and get a large cheeseburger with a large soda, I want every bit of 3,000 calories that I can get out of that. I'm a small guy. When I order a large meal, I want a large meal. I understand that there's an obesity problem in America, but that's not a health problem. That's a choice problem.
That's kind of the thing my mom said about, we go to McDonald's and buy a Big Mac. They're not that big.
I don't want small portions. I want something. When I want to go to a place to eat something, I want a big. If I say I want a big food, I don't want to have to order 2 burgers to get the size of a normal Big Mac. And I like to eat, but I don't eat as much as I used to anymore because I don't feel like having to pay extra money to get the same thing that I used to be able to get.
She said that back then, when you ordered a Big Mac, it was actually big.
I understand that you don't kicking out lard, because it causes death and heart problems. But they don't cook with. They haven't cooked with lard since like the 20s or something like that. And I don't. People choose to be fat unless they have glandular problems, and it's not their fault. But people choose to be fat because they won't exercise and they just keep eating.
Yeah.
Now, if it's their choice to be fat, let them choose to be fat and let them choose to have diabetes. I mean, they don't choose to have diabetes; it just comes and gets them to them. But they benefit to giving themselves diabetes because they don't regulate how heavy they eat. But that's not everyone else's fault.
I think a lot of it is because some of the food that I get, the only food place I will go to is, well, I'm not the only one, but the only ones that I really like are the ones that make their burgers out of fresh meat. It's not processed. Everything is fresh.
I like to go to places where I can see them cook my food. There's a pizza place down here I was telling you about. It has a brick oven that they stick the pizza in. It's just a fire in there, and they just stick the pizza in there. It's done in 15 minutes. And you get to see them cook the pizza. I like to go to places where I can watch people cook my food. I don't want, when I go to a place to get food, I don't want any food that's already done. I tell them I need a fresh burger, a fresh taco. I gotta watch them cook my food.
There was a thing at McDonald's a long time ago. I think down here in Gulfport, where some lady or some man found a nose ring in their food.
There's a thing that they had a security surveillance video on Domino's. That's why I don't eat Domino's pizza. Where there was a coworkers that were farting and sitting on people's pizza, putting their boogers on people's pizza, and all that. And they didn't know the camera was watching them, and they know it wasn't. They served it to someone.
It's probably the person they didn't like.
It was a person.
Don't piss off the people that handle your food.
But I like to watch people do it. And then there was one person that said the person was a little rude to him because they wouldn't hurry up and fix him his food, so he ejaculated on his burger and thought it was mayonnaise. I don't know how he had enough time to ejaculate in the back.
I don't know how he couldn't tell the difference once he ate it. I never.
Most people when they get their food, they're not like you and I. When I get my food, I rip it apart to make to look at it, make sure everything's on there.
Whenever I'm eating a burger,
And if there's mayonnaise on my food, I'm not the type of person that's going to bring it back to you and say there's mayonnaise on here. I'll take a napkin and I'll scrape the mayonnaise off because I don't eat mayonnaise. But when you have some type of health things, most people they don't open their burgers up and look at it. So I just don't understand where do you get the time to masturbate on someone's food?
and how did no one notice?
How can no one see you back there? Oh, it's like, what are you doing, man? Oh, I gotta get some mayonnaise.
When I eat something, I actually eat it. I actually get into it. I try to taste all the flavors.
When I eat my food, I inspect it first. I tell you, I take the bun off. I take the lettuce off. I take the meat off. I rip the meat open. That's how when I cook burgers at home, I don't trust the way the meat looks after it's done cooking. Before I actually eat it, I rip my burger open. I look to make sure there's no red meat. Then I close it back together. I turn it upside down to try to get the meat to sear back together, and then I put it on the burger.
My dad actually says I should be a food critic because even when my mom makes stuff, I'll point out stuff, and even when I eat it, I'll point out tastes.
Yeah, I like to consider myself a professional eater. I can distinguish any type of taste, and if there's something wrong with my food, I will know. I can look at my food and say there's something wrong with it. I know it. I'm that type of person. But that's what I think about on that Food and Health Administration. Leave people's food alone. If I want to go to McDonald's and get fat, I'm going to go to McDonald's and get fat. Now, if I don't like salty French fries, so I don't eat McDonald's French fries.
I like them.
I like French fries that have no salt on them. I don't eat salt on my French fries, and I don't eat ketchup.
See,
and there's a reason. I know what people are saying. You don't eat ketchup. But there's a reason behind my madness. A tomato once ended my life, and I have never eaten a raw tomato since then, nor any type of tomato product. I eat ketchup every now and then. I eat tomato sauce, but I will not eat tomatoes.
See,
and I'll eat ketchup every now and then. If my French fries are too salty, I'll eat ketchup, and that's only at McDonald's.
I used to like McDonald's fries because they were salty enough that I
can't eat McDonald's fries.
But
when I eat McDonald's fries, it turns my whole mouth bitter. I can't eat salty.
But then McDonald's fries got crappy and all of it shifted to Wendy's.
I go to Checkers to get my French fries.
I eat Checkers. I like
Checkers fries. But you know what? Me and Dustin will not go to Checkers again because we were insulted at Checkers. We went there to get some burgers. Burgers. And Dustin and I got his, and I got this toasted sandwich, because that's the one I used to get when I was a young child. I used to toast it. It was much bigger when I was young. I guess it just had small hands.
Well, everything's smaller now.
I guess I just had small hands when I was young, but it was so much bigger when I was younger. Now it's just like a regular sandwich. And
it probably was bigger, just everything's gotten smaller.
I guess they do get smaller. And the Checkers French fries didn't taste the same. They didn't look the same. And then I bought a milkshake, and those people, they didn't give us a straw. We waited.
That's how they insulted you?
We waited 45 minutes for our food, and they didn't give us a straw. I couldn't drink a chocolate milkshake without a straw. Dustin didn't have his straw. I sent Dustin back in there to get a straw. He went in there. These guys sitting out there from the military were sitting out there waiting an hour and 30 minutes. Our military people out there at Checkers between these fat white women up in there talking on the phone, and they had the military guys sitting out there for an hour and 30 minutes waiting on their food. I sent Dustin in there to get me a straw and to get our food. And he goes in there and he said, those military guys out there. I said, Dustin, do you want me to get out of the car? He said, no, you don't need to get out. He said, I will. I'll show them my black side. I said, I'm not too white. I said, I'll show them my black side. He said, no, you stay in the car.
I've already seen that side.
They insulted us by not giving us a straw. That was the worst customer service I ever had in my life. I ordered a chocolate sundae and a sandwich, and I waited 45 minutes, and they didn't bring me a straw. I had to open the top of the thing to get it out there, and they didn't even give us a spoon. I needed a spoon to eat the ice cream.
In that case, I have been insulted so many times by McDonald's, not even knowing it.
I've never had that problem at any other eater. They've always given me my straw.
At McDonald's, if you work at McDonald's, I'm not.
Rhett's the manager at McDonald's.
Oh, well, this McDonald's?
I don't know what one it is.
Well, anyway, if you're watching this and you work at McDonald's down in Gulfport, I'm not trying to offend you. I like it, but there's some crappy service there.
I'll tell you what, McDonald's people, I like you, but Checkers, you better get hold of your people, because if I ever have to go to Checkers again and I don't get my straw and I wait 45 minutes for my food, there's going to be a problem.
Because half the time we'll go there and we'll order something. Like I'll order a Big Mac, 3 Big Macs, and 3 fries.
3 Big Macs? You don't even eat, you barely eat one of them.
Not just for me, for my mom and you think I would eat all of them?
I would.
And half the time they'll give us 2 Big Macs and still 3 fries, or forget the third order and just give us 2 Big Macs and 2 fries.
I had that happen to me one time, and I was so mad. I went back and I told him, where the hell? Where's my other burger? And I was young and I grew up on popcorn chicken. I would go to KFC. That was the only thing I'd ever buy at KFC.
Well, every time I go to the Walmart deli, that's what I order.
And when I get popcorn chicken come out there, and the last time I had popcorn chicken, it was too salty. And I had to go give my 2 cents because the Colonel knows that I was a popcorn chicken eater. And when that chicken was too salty, I had to come back to them and tell them, this is too salty.
I like KFC.
I
like their chicken. I like their chicken, but what I like best is their coleslaw.
I just like KFC. That's my
I like Popeye's chicken better.
I don't know. Popeye's chicken has become a little too salty and a little flavorless nowadays. But that's just how Louisiana food is.
My mom and dad claims that Church's chicken's better.
Church's has the best biscuits.
Oh, they do. I've ate them. I like them. I love them.
KFC has the best chicken. Church's has the best biscuits, and Popeyes has the best side dishes.
I think KFC.
While we're talking about, we're talking about okay, so what we have here is that he talks about the domestic problems. He has nothing on there. Blah blah blah. He's a supporter of the Second Amendment and the First Amendment, which is the rights for freedom of speech, religion, and blah blah blah. Freedom of the gun control. Blah blah blah. And so crime and justice, executive powers, boom, 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 boom. So yeah, that's him. That's Bernie Sanders. So out of all these people, we had Hillary Clinton. We know she's not a good candidate. What do you have to say about Hillary Clinton for a closing argument with Hillary Clinton?
I don't really know too much about her, but because of what my dad said, that there's been some things that people don't really like her for. Their words is, I'm not really gonna. I don't care that she's a woman. So
I don't care if she's a woman either.
But because of those things that my dad has said,
I don't care.
I might not.
I don't care that she's a woman either. I care that she's a feminist. But so this is my closing argument for Hillary Clinton. Men with balls, don't vote for her. Women that care about the future of the economy, don't vote for her. People with a logical brain, don't vote for it. Even if you don't have a logical bone, just don't vote for her. Hillary Clinton is not a good candidate. None of these guys are, but just don't vote for Hillary.
Okay. My likely choice to vote for is probably Donald Trump.
Ben Carson. What do you guys say about him?
Not much. I was just flabbergasted when I heard that he was running and knowing that he's a neurosurgeon.
Ben Carson, he has a good plan for taxes. That's all he has is the flat tax rate for me. I don't understand how does a neurosurgeon go from that to presidency. So
I told my mom, and she
don't vote for him unless you do some extensive research on it.
I told my mom, and she said, "Well, neurosurgeons get bored of being a neurosurgeon too." Well, yeah, but if you have no politics,
that's a big jump. He didn't even go back to school for politics. It's just neurosurgeon, and then boom, I'm running for office.
Boom! I'm president.
I think about Ben Carson. I think he thinks because he's seen Obama get in office and said, "Oh my God, it's a nigga made it," and so I'm gonna jump into it too. That's what I think about Ben Carson. I really do think that, and so don't vote for him unless you have done some research on his background and then you think that he might have something. But from what we've read and researched, Ben Carson might not be the best likely object. Donald Trump
has kind of steered me towards him after hearing some of the stuff that he said, and he kind of acts serious, unlike previous presidents.
Donald Trump, for me, Donald Trump is one of the only ones that I think of that can actually be beneficial towards the economy. His other points are really going to kill him towards taxing certain people more than the others.
Okay, we need our along.
I think the tax rate should stay flat as
My
I
mom
continue to
gets
say.
home.
I know. We need to. So Donald Trump, he might be a good candidate. They're all horrible candidates, but Donald Trump is above Ben and Hillary, in my opinion. Now, moving on to Chris Christie.
I've never heard of him.
Chris Christie. His only good standpoint is that he's the governor, but his points that he made are kind of lackluster. However, the point that he made for the inequalities and equal choice and opportunity is a good point. That we don't need more inequality bills. We need more people to learn to make the right choices in school. You numbskulls.
And then the last one.
Bernie Mac. Bernie Sanders.
Only good standpoint.
Yes, he's the U.S. Senator.
Yeah.
And free tuition for college, or near free. That's the only thing that's good. If Europe can do it, so can we.
And look at Europe; they're going. From what I know,
They're good. And that's it for that thing. And now, stay tuned for our next episode where we talk about mountain monsters. And we're gonna bring back with us our special guest, Captain America, Sir Spore, whatever is his name. Sir Spore. We're bringing him back for our next episode, and hopefully he leaves his posse at home this time. But we're going to tackle mountain monsters, and this has been our something number episode. Safe. I'm Odin Zeus, Mr. Pace.
And I'm ATV.
And this is us signing out. And we thank you for viewing this extremely long video because of Mr. Burleson.
We hope you learned something.
We hope you learned something. And give us your opinions on the political candidacy and who you think would be a good choice. And who you think would be a good choice for presidency. And tell us in the comment section below or on our website. What do you think should happen as far as the political standpoint for our country and how we should balance our budget? And visit our website and our Facebook page where we'll have a poll count to see how many people are going to vote for certain people based on what we all get back from the feedback from you guys. And you can look on our website. We'll have a poll posted sometime after this video is posted that will have a poll as to who should be voted for. And just give us a little bit of feedback. So if you like our videos, like, comment, subscribe, and share it with all your friends and make them like it too.
Make them.
Yes, make them like it. And so this has been our episode. This is ministering and blah, 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 all the explanations.